chapter 6, we've taken the verse number 181 page. And since we had commenced with this chapter, but last class, we had a slight technical glitch, and as a result, it wasn't telecast. So we'll just go through the first uh, verse of this chapter, and then we'll proceed to the second. So the idea is the first verse presents itself as a kind of a tying up of this whole Upanishad, which has started from the first section, which inquired what is the cause of this universe. When we see this is the universe, it's an effect. There has to be some cause. What's a cause? Well, they said the various sages gave various answers: time, nature, destiny, and all these things were presented. And then they were dismissed by this sage who says that there have been sages who, through meditation, have realized that effulgent one who is, can say, who has the power to create. So the creation has a cause. It has to be a conscious principle. Time and nature, these are all, you can say, gross principles. They don't have consciousness in them. Time, though they are powerful, when you see this whole universe, you can see that time is such a powerful factor in fashioning all these things. Oh, yes, even you, me, and all, see, when we are so young and you still looking so nice, and now, oh, time. So, but there's that Bhartri Hari, one poet, he says, time does not go. Kalo vayame vayate. We, time is time. But you can see the hands of time, molding things, fashioning things, breaking things up, refashioning things. You have the whole of nature. You have, it's very powerful. The whole universe is expanding, and there's something that's pulling it back, and things are happening. Oh, that is nature on a massive scale. We see nature on a kind of a small amoeba or a microbe or a bacteria or a virus, no, small. And on a massive scale, you see how it. So these things have been presented as causes of this universe. As usual, even today, it's not far fetched. We use the same arguments. Yeah, we have the Big Bang. Yeah, there was a quantum fluctuation, and then the whole thing, and in a few seconds, we had this, and it evolved gradually over time. It's like, so these arguments, which are modern, actually modern, they were all old arguments, not maybe 3,000 years old. So these sages used to sit and discuss, and the conclusion here, he's tying up things, saying that some intelligent ones speak of inherent nature, that's Swabhava. So those sages who were presenting these guys as a cause. So you see what happens is there were multiple philosophies, the doctrines. We never exterminated them. Say, hey, you are wrong. You have your point of view. Everywhere else, you find the whole one religion coming dominant by exterminating the others. You are wrong. This never happened in India. You have your point of view. I have my point of view. Everybody has a point of view. Come on, let's sit down and discuss it. So, like these in especially in Alexandria, there are great philosophies of Neoplatonism and Platonism. All these great philosophies. almost like Vedanta. But they're all dead now. Just they're in the books. They're not living philosophies. So they had come and sitting and discussing, and then the yeah Svetashvatra Rishi says. Similarly, others under delusion say that it is time. It, he goes a little strongly. Delusion. Parimuyamana is translated as kind of misdirected or misled. Okay. Then he presents the causes. This glory in the world belongs surely to that effulgent one, because of whom this wheel of Brahman revolves. Yeah, you see, everything is kind of embedded in this giant wheel. Is it like a wheel? It's a wheel of creation or wheel of existence. Is it circular? Things move in a kind of a circular fashion. Yes. From clouds clump into stars, and the stars and clump. They're smaller in the planets, and then it keeps on, and then it blows up. It goes back to those cloud gases. And mountains are worn down by rivers and wind, and the whole mountain is shifted from there to here. You get a mountain. So these things, everything is cyclic in nature. We see at least. So that's why it's called a wheel of creation, a wheel of existence. The whole thing is kind of revolving, and there is a kind of a conscious principle behind the whole thing. It is not just left to itself. It's not like a robo. You Now we have something called, yeah, robos are intelligent enough to repair themselves and create other robots. Ha ha. Hey. Other machines, yes. Oh yes. They can solve their own problems and this and that. Things are happening. Good. Something like,
Smarter than human beings. We cannot solve our problem.
oh yes, we can. We don't want to.
Oh,
Yeah.
you don't want to?
Yes.
Explain
Yeah.
this one.
Oh, Swami Vivekananda gives a nice example. Suppose you have some kind of uh, insect bite or some kind of itch,
Mm.
The doctor has told you don't scratch it, but we are impelled. We scratch that. It gives us a kind of a minor relief, but it damages the whole thing. It makes the thing worse, and we keep on.
I found, Swamiji, that if you scratch it once, that's enough.
There are some. There are
That
some.
was a new discovery.
Yeah. There are some itches that keep on.
They keep on, but you just ignore.
Yeah, but then you wanted an example. I gave you an example.
Okay, Swamiji.
So
I know what you mean.
we know we should avoid certain things. They are harmful, but we are
Oh, yeah.
good. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, it's saying Arjuna asks us, what impels a person towards this kind of demeritorious actions? Right. So he's saying that person is pushed, as it were, into this by powerful forces in nature. Anger and greed are the two things. Kama Esha, Krodha Esha. They are born out of Rajoguna, and they push you towards that. I don't want this. You don't want it? Swami Vivekananda says, I don't want to smell anything. Nature will bring you a beautiful rose. Now you smell. Ah, there you're caught. I'm not going to hear anything. Really? I'm not going to hear. Ask somebody to say something about you. Yeah, oh, you're going to hear it. So, we are, as long as we have bodies, we are under the thaltrum of nature. Here, to come back to the wheel of Actually, it's a very, very, very complex creation here. It's not simple. Each one is linked to everything else in this universe. You you cannot say that I'm alone. I have my own life. No, there is no such thing as and separate individual life. You are linked to everything, even the gods, if they are there. They are, of course. Yes, the gods get annoyed. This guy has forgotten me. Huh. Let's throw a stone down and let's hurt him a little. Oh God, there. So you know, and it's a settled doctrine that we nourish them, they nourish us. It's kind of in a sense of when we work, we nourish this universe, and the universe nourishes us. That's it. It not the universe protects us. We protect the universe. It's like constant. It's mutual. So, and in this complex processes of existence, here we are. Who's that? This effulgent one, this conscious principle that dwells everywhere in all beings, in all things. So this is
What does exactly effulgent mean? The word.
it is the light of consciousness that would yeah, that's the thing. Because according to many philosophies, matter is dull, dark. It's only lit by something called consciousness. So that's why it's a kind of an word that's approximate. Consciousness is not effulgent. It is beyond all categories of words and concepts because that consciousness is a subject. We try to objectify it by naming it. That's what we generally do. Consciousness is a subject, and how do we understand it? By giving it a name for us to understand it. So when you say consciousness is eternal, what do you mean eternal? Do you know what's eternal? I know it's opposite. Everything is ending in time. So this transcends time. Till now, these are just, you can say, words trying to describe. Are they appropriate? They're appropriate because they have been used by the sages. So you hold on to that and you proceed. And then you'll find it transcends all categories, but it is akin to this eternality, infinity, and effulgence. That's the reason why. And the word used devasya. The word deva means God, gods. Deva also means these senses. They are shining functions. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to cognize things. And this deva is also means that effulgent being within each and every. That's consciousness. Okay. So it has multiple meanings, and in this case, it is consciousness. And in that now huge, complex, you can say, world of existence, where we all crowding in, it's a kind of a. This is what is called, in other words, Noah's Ark. We all in it. Whether you like it or not, we all in it. We have to push the elephant out of the way. The elephant pushes us out of the way. Hey, the giraffe will come and. Hey, that was a kind of analogy that was given. Yeah, of course, if you Noah's Ark as real, you'll get into trouble because there are many things in Australia which are not included in that ark. Yeah. How could they survive, sir?
But there was a flood that every civilization talks about.
yeah, there was a
A
flood.
major flood
There was a
in the world.
there was a flood, huge. You can say there was a volcanic eruption. Santorini. There's a small Greek island. Boom! It burst, and there's such a huge tsunami. Oh, it in fact in Chinese culture we had this kind of. In the Indian, we had a whole Manu was a sage and he was meditating, and then kind of a small fish comes. Manu, save me! What happened? So he takes that fish and the kind of a pond out there, takes it out there and holds it and puts it in his water pot. Sages have the water pots beside them always. And the next day, this fish had become big as a pot. I can't live here. You take me to the pond back. And he puts in the pond. And it becomes the next day it sees as big as a pond. I can't live here. Put me in that river out there. He puts in the river. And he puts in the river. Ah, it's become as big as the river banks. Who are you? I am that deity who have come down to save you and your kind. Build a kind of a raft, and I will project a kind of horn, and you fasten that raft on that horn of mine. It's like this catfish, no, have that kind of thorn out there, like. And then the deluge began, and Manu was saved because he got on the raft with a lot of types, plants and birds, and you have in the Chinese, you have the Babylon, it was there somehow. And that was the first incarnation of God. First God incarnated as a fish. Oh. Yeah, why should God come only as human being, as two hands? And the second one was the tortoise. Uh, the third one was the boar. So you see the whole sequence of evolution. Today, we know that we had emerged from the ocean. Some fish, yeah, wanted to get away from some big fish. So the whole sequence of, you can say, and then after the, you can say, then we had a half man and half animal type, Narasingha. And then we had the next in evolution of God was the two of, small. We were very small, hominids, kind of. And the next was the man, the perfect man. And then perfect man physically, then we had the most moral cancer. Oh, yeah. Because humankind is, distinguished by morality. And slowly, slowly, slowly we come. So it's a long string of incarnations along with the processes of evolution there. So, it kind of corresponds. I don't know how these guys have intuited this, but that's the that's the story. The 10 avatars. The last one, the ninth one was the Buddha. Perfectly moral, perfectly unselfish, perfectly enlightened. That's the human being. That's the model of a human being. Human being should emulate this. There's one
Kolki avatar.
Kalki. Yeah, it will come. Let it come. We'll wait for it.
Ramakrishna predicted he will come.
Hmm?
Ramakrishna
Yeah,
predicted
yeah.
that he will
Who
come.
are
Yeah.
who are the 10 avatars? Or what are the 10 avatars?
Yeah,
You mean the fish is one?
yeah, yes. Matsya avatar. Matsya is the fish. Yeah, the
Oh.
fish. Yeah. Kurma, the tortoise. Yeah, it came.
I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Oh, yeah. And then the boar, Varaha. Yeah. And then God came as a boar also. Why should Why should only come? So it shows the long processes of evolution, and God has taken that particular form at during that particular period of time.
which means that this is scientific because evolution is supported
Yeah,
by
yeah, yeah, yeah.
science.
Everything is evolving. We have evolved. Everything, the whole universe, if you see, that's a staring fact at you. Everything evolves. Materials, people, animals, everything. Mind.
And what about atom bombs and hydrogen bombs?
Yeah, well, you see,
Part of
yeah,
evolution.
evolution is going on.
What about the bell-shaped curve? They go up and then they go on down.
Yeah, but then again it comes up. We always say there's not one bell curve. There are many curves over and over. We should not limit ourselves to just one. I have multiple. The more the merrier. Okay, so we take the second verse because now when we have established that it's a consciousness that has is the cause of this universe. Okay, how does it operate here? Uh, it is to be thought that he by whom is pervaded all this in an orderly way and who is enlightened. Enlightened in the sense intelligent, I can say. The maker of time. Even they had said, what's the cause of time? God is even the cause of time. So he's a maker of time, possessed of all qualities and all knowing, being ordained by him this well-known work, this wheel of Brahma, this wheel of existence. See? Viz, the namely earth, water, air, fire, space remain superimposed, or it like as I say, it unfolds. This this creation unfolds. This is the well-known work of God. So Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when you see this magician, you must know he's not divorced or he's not separate from the magic. Now, when you see magic, you've got to think of the magician. Now, when you see this world, the Buddhists had said it was an old argument. When you put a seed in the ground, it inevitably it's going to be a sprout, and then from the sprout is going to be a tree. It's not going to be an elephant there, obviously. So these are all arguments by the Buddhists. They say no, you don't need a god there. You can have the whole thing explain itself. You think the wind blows and the sun shines, and do you need someone like a clock maker? The whole universe is like a clock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. In fact, there were pictures. People used to draw pictures of a huge clock, the mechanism, and there's inside there's a guy inside tinkering with that. That was during the Renaissance and the medieval age. This idea of a clockwork universe, and because everything was so perfect, the scientific laws were getting more and more perfect. Science was pushing religion out. And, hey, see, this is the law of causation. This is the law of this, that. We say, okay, if that's the case, then these laws are perfect. It's like a clock. Everything running perfectly, but there is a clockmaker. Huh. So it is here, say, Yena Vritam, by whom all this is pervaded. Everything is pervaded by that reality. Otherwise, when we see each other, we talk to each other, the idea that this is real hits you, not with a big hammer, otherwise you'll get unconscious. But it's a feeling that yes, it is real, it is existent. We don't say, "Oh, you see, it's all a dream. It's unreal." You'll do that when you realize the highest. But our daily interactions makes us feel that that idea of permanence, the idea of reality is there. Why? Because that reality pervades everything. This is the idea.
So we're seeing objects.
Yeah. Yeah. So why shouldn't it be objects?
I see objects easily enough. I'm trying to see awareness.
Ah, there. Yeah, of course.
As an object.
Yeah, that kind of slowly. It is that consciousness that has fragmented, as it were. So what you see is the consciousness as subject and object.
I only see God.
Yeah, that's the idea, of course. And then he says it's all pervaded, and it's running things running in a kind of a orderly way. Everything nityameva. It's like things are working. You don't say, "Oh, this thing is wrong and that thing is wrong." And, oh God, why should people suffer? And why should this is there order in that also? Well, we have set in motion certain things, and those things are coming back to us. So everything, if we just analyze, we are responsible for half of what we suffer from or we enjoy or whatever, and the other half is by everyone around me. I have to rub my shoulders against this and that, and I come with my shoulder all sleeves all worn out. So because I am part of the whole, part of society, so my actions affect others, actions affect me. Yeah, that's what, it's a collective, the individual as well as collective. So that's the reason why we got to live that everybody should live in an ordered way. We don't. But this guy, that conscious principle, that effulgent one, he does things in an ordered way. Yeah, it is. And then omniscient, that effulgent one is omniscient.
The clock.
That's time.
Yeah,
That's a good example of time.
yeah. How things have moved since you were a young boy and until now. This is an artificial division of time according to our convenience, human. Old Babylonian 60. 60? Why couldn't it divide it into 100? And we are still stuck to 30 and 60. 60 minutes. Why 60 minutes? Huh. Well, certain things don't leave us too easily.
Swamiji, the older you get, the faster time goes.
Yeah.
It's
It's
relative.
an experience.
Yeah, it's actually, that's the reason why people who get old are in a kind of a hurry. We knew, in fact, I personally knew one Swami who was president of the order, and he sent a manuscripts to us, saying, and after 2 days saying, "Is the book ready?" I said, "No, Swami, it takes time." "What are you all doing? I gave it 2 days ago, and what are you all doing?" And especially when you are in a kind of a collision, accident, when you're driving and then you're going to collide with something,
God forbid.
It
yeah,
slows down
it's a kind of,
now,
yes, a
yeah.
kind of a memory goes into a slow motion. Time, as it were, goes into a kind of a slow motion. Memory and time, they're all linked.
At least to me, my experience that we stop taking in as much of experience when we're young. We're like, oh, it's hot and there's so much going on and I'm happy.
You don't do, your brain itself does it. It's very selective.
But we can consciously do that.
Later on,
Like you as a habit, you get used to taking in.
your brain is limited, and what comes in is overwhelming. So it is very selective in what it takes in, because it has to protect your body. That's a first job, nothing else. So, but what about this and that? No, you don't have to bother about that.
Oh, yeah.
So this is, in fact, this has been found out that the brain works and takes in data so that it can protect your body. It's not supposed to help you realize God, all these things. So no, this is important. So the brain has already selected things, this much only. Otherwise, I will get confused. You see, if 20 people throw 40 things at you, catch, what are you going to do?
Catch
Catch
none of
one.
them.
Maybe you might succeed in one or two. So that's what actually happens. And then what happens after the impressions does come in? There's a kind of stimulus energy that remains as a kind of a trace in the mind or in the brain. That is a short-term memory, and then it goes to the long-term memory, and that has to be consolidated, and that's done in when we are asleep. That's it. And when we are getting down to memory. We'll take it up a little later. But then I see things and hear things, and they are classified into kind of a pigeonhole. That that in the night there's a kind of a pigeonholing. Whatever I've seen, and then the body is kind of disabled so that the brain can work quietly without being disturbed. Ha ho ha! No shouting. So it keeps you engaged by showing a little of what you did. See this. How babies, you give them a toy. Hey, and I work on the computer. And I keep on looking now and then the baby is very busy with that toy. So similarly, the brain has been given a kind of a see this movie, and I'll be working down there. And it keeps on working, pigeonholing things. So one impression is linked to past impressions over and over again. So it is part of a wave. Swami Vivekananda says, when you see a wave, it's not just one wave, but it's a collection of multiple small waves. And then that multiple small waves, they coalesce and become one. So everything is now stored here. So, but then how do these things? Memory itself is another form of karma. You've seen, you've done, you've acted. So those traces are there out there. And then they influence you. If I like chocolate ice cream, to come back on here, I think I'm just walking and thinking of something else. Suddenly, my eyes see chocolate ice cream in a window. Wow! And I forget everything else, and I think only of chocolate ice cream. That wave has come and pushed all of the waves outside. So, well, it's kind of an orientation. And if you keep on doing that over and over again, then what happens is you form a habit. And then it's very difficult to break a habit because you need another counter, you can say, wave to break this thing. So, but now let us proceed to. We'll come back to this. And possessed of all qualities, the qualities of sattva, rajas, and tamas, or everything good or bad, the qualities belongs to God. Now, if you say the quality of fire is to burn, or the power of fire, and the water is to wet, breeze to blow. So everything is there. So there's an inherent quality in everything that belongs to this reality. And Sarvavit, all knowing, yes, omniscient. If I don't know what's happening around, I'm not going to be able to administer things. Like, I don't know more than half of what goes around in my. Do you know? Does anyone know? Nobody knows how this metabolism is taken care of, the respiration. We do hardly. How come? Yeah, this knowledge was ours, but now we don't need to be engaged with this knowledge always. We need to free our minds from this task, kind of a repetitive task. It's going. So in the old days, we had these huge automobile industries with people on those, like what do you say, ramps. So yeah, they are being cars are being assembled. Oh,
Assembly line.
Assembly line.
assembly. And now, if you see the assembly line, oh, what happened? What happened to the people?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we have these robots. We have they're doing all that welding, fitting, this, that, all the well,
Evolution.
so something like this happened with our bodies too. First, we are conscious. Hey, you need to do this. You need to do that. You need to do that. And then, okay, that can be handled by this. And slowly, slowly, it has become. So these assembly lines, we have taken ourselves out intelligently. Let things run because it's a kind of a machine. It'll run. So our conscious mind can think of higher things, higher ideas. Otherwise, your consciousness will be enmeshed with this plain survival. But then we have the brain to do that. It's okay. Let it do it. Something has to be done by this brain. It's sitting idle. So your thoughts become free. Like you may be in prison. Like the door slams. Next 20 years you're going to be in prison. Your body is in prison, but they cannot imprison your mind, your thoughts. So if your mind is free, right, if you constantly think of your body and your prison, you're bound. So evolution kind of freed our minds from this mundane running of things, so that we could become creative, become intelligent, become elevated, more elevated human beings.
But I heard Swamiji that displaces many workers who are used to working on cars, let's say, and with these robots. What are these many people do for a livelihood?
They go higher up.
It destroyed the middle class in America when they took out
They-
General Motors.
When we had a typewriters and then the computers came in, what happened actually? Oh, did all the typists they perish? No, they graduated.
Learning.
Yeah,
They're new
graduated.
That's what I did.
Yeah. We are pushing ourselves higher and higher and higher.
Needs destruction first is all. And we think
Yeah, but then every technology is replaces an older version, and there is always, from the economic standpoint, there is always an upheaval. When we used to take these cameras in the film, oh, don't see that you don't waste the pictures. Click. You have to film. You got to develop it and this and that. And now,
All the time.
yeah, and the whole industry. So we also need to be one step ahead. See what's coming. Change. If you can type, then you can use the keyboard on the computer. You can use it on, and there it is. So the human mind itself can help if we are intelligent enough to see. And with AI and all in the future, all this repetitive work is going to is doomed. Yes, it is. Only the creative will remain. Mm. So there.
But people can't write anymore. There's no more script. There's no bookstores. People, they don't read
You
books.
speak.
They can't write their own names.
Yes, you
Where's the
speak.
skill in that?
And there's the kind of hologram that projects you from here to there. Hi. There.
Do people move to new skills or do they move toward grace and gratitude?
Now let's get down to the reality, not to the details. So everything, all this can from the smallest to the highest, all modifications are not random. They are ordered. We have this kind of randomness or the incompleteness theorem by Kurt Gödel, always, everything you do, there will be something in that very element that will make it incomplete. Ah, yeah, the famous mathematician, incompleteness. Then there was Werner Heisenberg who said, this uncertainty principle, everything is, you're not certain. There's an uncertainty embedded in everything. Oh, the famous uncertainty principle. Oh, like, take for instance, they say time is a particle in a one dimension box. It goes up, it is there, it is not there. It goes down, it is there, it is not there. Now, what do you make of this? The uncertainty principle, like Schrodinger's cat. The cat is alive or dead. You can't say which.
What?
Schrodinger, Erwin Schrodinger, the famous physicist. You don't know? Oh, the kind of there's a poisonous this gun of an element called plutonium, and there is a trigger, and that trigger will be triggered by something else. So if that thing sequence number one happens, it will come to sequence number two, and the sequence number three, that gun will fire, and then that photon or the electron will go and break you can say container of poisonous gas, and that poisonous gas will leak through, and there's a cat in that box. The whole thing is boxed. How do you know whether the cat is alive or dead? The cat is both alive and dead. And it has created, the electron is this here and the electron is there also. There is a twin. Huh? How is it? And the light is both a wave as well as particle. Wow, what is this? The whole universe is kind of a contradiction. It is. It is. Don't think that. Yeah, yeah. That was the famous experiment. Those waves. When you look at the particles being fired one after another to the electron gun through the double slit experiment. Sometimes the particle goes from here, sometimes goes there, sometimes, yeah, but actually it goes to both. And on the screen, you find a kind of impression of those particles. I'm hitting it here in this slit, it goes there also. Huh? What's that? So this is a famous, and that's why the whole classical physics was overturned because of this, the quantum effects. Oh, that's so fascinating. You should. Very fascinating. So matter is both particle as well as waves. What are waves? It's a quanta packet of energy jumps. Oh, that's so fascinating, fascinating. That's a, but that also is under, like, there's an electrons. The one electron spins from right to left. The other electron will spin left to right. You turn this electron this side, that electron. Einstein was, no, spooky action at a distance. I don't believe in all this thing. And he struggled hard to bring that theory of everything. Couldn't. But then this is the universe. It's not simple. So you are there, you are not there. So let's finish this. So even that is, those are physical laws. It might appear contradictory, but then they are laws. So that's why this whole quantum mechanics. But then, of course, it will be in the future may replaced by a higher, we can say, aspect of the science. So we do not know. So it has to be thought of as, how is the thing? It this whole ordered universe unfolds as all the elements, earth, water, fire. In those days, they were very simple. The elements of earth and elements of fire, they also had the knowledge of those atoms. The word atomos, atom, is the equivalent of the Indian anu, and paramanu, subatomic particles. So here we had this there was a whole concept. uh, the Indians and the Greeks.
Anu means little.
Yeah,
Yeah, that word T. Anu.
anu,
The name
yeah,
is Anu.
yeah, yeah, small, yeah.
Anuradha.
Ah.
That's the name.
Oh, Radha. So
And
she's
the
a
little
she's a
Radha.
atomic Radha.
Excuse me?
Atomic Radha. Radha is the, you can say, deity of, you can
Yes.
say, love. Oh, Krishna. So this whole thing is kind of it unfolds. That reality pervades everything, and everything is kind of in an ordered way unfold. How does it unfold? What do we see? We see it as this universe. There we are. This universe what has been unfolded? God, consciousness. Got it? It is that effulgence, that consciousness that has unfolded itself and is appearing as this universe. As you, me, everything. Everything. So we stop here for now. We can take up some of those memory.
Just one thing related to this.
Yeah.
It says like a snake on a garland.